if this was the program every student has, the education will be better and we will have better professionals, or it's too hard to...
It's really easy. Yes.
Yes,
I'm sure.
totally. Hi, welcome everybody to a new video. Buenas a todos, bienvenidos a un nuevo video. I am here with Paul. He's my teacher of the exchange. Estoy con Paul, mi profesor, uno de mis profesores, tenemos dos, en el Erasmus. And the idea of this interview is trying to go a little bit deep in the exchange program, in Dutch education. Also, like, we are having some questions you put me in Instagram, but after we can also debate something, or if I have something in my mind, I'm also gonna ask him, and this is what we are gonna do. Vale, pues la clave de esta idea va a ser en inglés, la entrevista. Y bueno, un poquito, en principio vamos a ver pues el tema de educación en Erasmus, educación un poco en Holanda. Tengo aquí alguna pregunta que me habéis puesto por Instagram, que se las voy a hacer. Y si alguna me surge algo o le quiero preguntar yo algo más, pues se la preguntaré. Así que comenzamos. We start. First of all, you want to say something to present yourself?
Well, I'm Paul, you already told. And I'm a teacher at sports studies, also a trainer. Trainer in beach volleyball I was a long time, but in a lot of sports I trained myself, running at the moment, just like you. That's more or less it, I think. And a philosopher, sometimes.
We ran a race, I think the second week
together.
I was here, I think. We ran a race. Okay, so we start. So the question is, and now we are explaining what we are doing here, I think better. How do we do the subjects? How are the subjects, and how do you evaluate us?
Mm-hmm. Well, the first I can answer. The second is really difficult. But we don't have subjects like normal education. Our subject is not running, playing basketball, learning how to teach or whatever. The subject we're trying to teach is that the first question you got, what was the first question we asked you when you came to our education? You still know?
The first question they ask us is, what do you want to do? What do you want to learn?
Exactly, so it worked. And that's the first question, but it's also the question you get the day after, and the day after, and the day after. So we never tell people what to learn. We ask them what they want to learn, and then we search where can they learn it. And we is like most of all the student, and we can help them with that sometimes. And sometimes they have plans, like for instance you have plans. You had plans when you came here, not really concrete maybe, but you had plans and they were becoming more and more concrete. And you made your own schedule, you made your own learning. You knew what you wanted to learn. Some of the students, they don't know what to learn, and we help them more. Maybe you can do this, does this fit? What do you like? What do you like to do? So that's the main questions. And so every student does a different thing. And altogether it's democratic education. So we also decide together what to do and what not to do. But it's also, if you want to learn something, just do it and go for it. If you want to learn from running, and you know from whom you want to learn, go and talk to them. Find them. If they won't talk, find someone else. Just go. And it's also the Nike, for example. Just do it.
When I was coming, I personally love this program because, as you said, we could learn things that really can affect our life or help in our personal and professional life. But I was thinking about if it's not too much freedom.
Maybe. But it's also a test. Like for some, maybe it was too much freedom. And how can you cope with this freedom? On the other hand, if you have your own education, the structured education, you know exactly what you want, I think in a week you have like 30 hours you were supposed to learn. I say supposed to, because from these 30 hours, what did you really learn? What is staying in your head? What is things that are really interested? Well, I'm not sure. What is it for you? If you have 30 hours lessons and you have to learn and you're at your university, is it 30 hours? Is it nice? Are there those subjects you want to learn? I don't think so.
Not really.
Let's say it's 1 hour, or maybe 2. So the 28 other hours are gone, destroyed. I'm not sure. So actually, what if we can do only 2 hours a week? You do 2 hours a week of nice things where you really learn, and then you have a lot of hours to do other things, or learn other things if you want to learn more. So you can say, is it too much freedom? I'm not sure. Maybe 4 hours of learning in 1 week is enough to make it really learning.
Yeah, that's interesting.
I'm not sure.
Okay, and
Also depends.
yeah, and I think the people, and also the other question is like, how do you evaluate, or
At the end, you mean?
yes, for example, because I even don't really know exactly.
We never know either, because also this is a democratic process. We evaluate with the group and with Roy and me, the teachers, and we evaluate together. Is this okay? But also, for instance, like we had a lot of talks. If you're on the right path or not, what can we do? What can you do? How can you learn? We have these talks with all the students. But some of them find these talks really difficult and they try to avoid these talks. They don't come. And we tell them, what are you doing? I don't think you're doing anything. What are you learning? I'm not sure. Okay, so we have to make the learning process more better, or make it more like a learning process instead of we'll see what happens. Yeah, do things. Some of them don't do things. We always say just do things, and from doing you learn. So do things differently. Do things not like you always did.
And for example, just like for also curiosity, like for example, at the end of the program, you attribute a mark to our learning process or something like that, or
Yeah, we already told you, right? Did
yeah,
you?
yes,
Do you know Benjamin Sander? Do you still remember him?
yes,
Okay, so we already told you.
that's true.
It's all or nothing.
I'm gonna explain quickly what we did. We have a task 1 week that we have to write like a letter, and we should start the letter putting, at the end of the term or of the program, I will have an A or a 10. In Spain, for example, we go from 0 to 10 because I did these things, and you have to put it what would you have done during this program. And as Paul said, finally it's your own learning, your own growth. For example, in that letter I write that I would like to write a book of how to start running, learning new forms of training. So yes, we could say that we have an A, but the A is not also free. I mean, we have to learn, to try to search something for learning. Perfect. Okay, let's search for another one. Do you think that here, for example, we have time enough to study and train at the same time?
What do you mean? In the study is in here?
Yes.
There's not more or less time than everywhere else. Time is everywhere is the same. It's how you use the time, how it works for you.
I think that's also true. If you want to search time, I think many times the excuse of the time is just an excuse.
We talked with you about Chronos and Kairos, right?
Also.
Yeah. Chronos, people who live with time. Time is very important, schedules are important, but you also have Kairos. What do I need right now? What can I do now? How does it feel when I do this? You don't live with the time. For example, you want to go to Norway. It's really dark now if you go there. I mean, do they still work from 8 to 8? That means it's never light when they're home. So maybe in winter they do different than in summer, for example.
Why the Dutch people know how to speak so good English?
Good question. Because from origin we're a country that travels all over the world. We also learn a lot of English in school. I'm not sure. If you look at a movie in Spain, is it in English or in Spanish?
Spanish.
Spanish. And here it's in English.
Always.
Always. With subtitles sometimes. It's always in English. And like for example, my children, they're 9 and 6. They look at English movies or in English, so they learn English really quick. Maybe that's why.
Why are we like few people in the lessons here? For example, we are 6.
Yeah.
Is there like a why?
No, because there was 6. Sometimes they're 6, sometimes they're 30. Depends on the ones who want to join. I think a reason could be, like in the Corona times, there were no students at all. Before there were, I think the group before was 15 or something, or 16. Like between 12 and 16 is normal most of the time. Now there are not a lot. It is how it is. 6 is also nice.
After this program, you really feel people improve or and learn more than, for example, in their countries?
Well, improve is always a difficult thing. What is improvement? It's always up to you if it's improvement or not. It's not up to me. If you improve, but I think everyone who comes here learns, because I know from my experience from the last 20 years, from the students I had here, is that we do it differently than they're used to. So you will learn definitely. If that's also what we try to tell our students. If you do things differently than you normally do, then you learn. If you do it like you always do, you will never learn. You always do the same thing. In running, it's the same thing. If you run a 10K and you always run a 10K in 32 minutes, you will always run it in 32 minutes. But what if you run it in 40 minutes once, and then in 45, and sometimes in 32, or you don't run a 10K but something else? Then things change.
Yeah, totally.
So it's just the same everywhere.
I was thinking about, because this program, as we say, it's a democratic program. Could you make a quick explanation? I don't think if it's possible to do it quick, but like a summary?
Well, democratic program is also, like we teachers, we don't make the program. Of course, we have some subjects which we want to talk with you. But sometimes we talk with about the subjects, sometimes we don't. It depends on the occasion, if it's the right moment. But also, for instance, this moment, it wasn't me who initiated this moment, it was you. And together we decided, okay, we come together at this moment, and then we have well, you can say that it's teaching, but it's a moment where we discuss together. It's also the moment where you come together with the whole group. Sometimes we initiate, sometimes you do, sometimes someone else does, sometimes we don't meet. It's a democratic program, and well, partly the democratic program will have the last few weeks now, and now it's okay. And what you've learned a few things. How can you learn the other ones? So what can you learn from the other students, and what can they learn from you? Okay, now teach each other. How can you teach this? How can you learn the other one? Because we also think if you teach the things you learn to someone else, then it's really something that sticks to you.
Okay.
You can learn from reading, from doing, from experience, but the best way to really learn is to tell someone else, to learn someone else, explain it to someone else.
Yes, because for example, also for the people to know it, it's like we learn what we like, we could say. I don't know, for example, our classmates, someone has been with Ukrainian childs, someone has teach young childs, also a girl has made some practice in physiotherapy because she wants to be a physiotherapy. I'm writing a book, I'm learning new types of training. Another girl has been like to lessons of courses, for example, we could say. But my question is, yes, what I told you, I think for me, the learning I had these 4 months, and I will have these 2 months left, they are gonna be real good for me, and I'm gonna grow a lot and learn things that I think really are useful for me, and not too much like in my country back in Spain. But my question is, do you think you can make a university degree keeping this program?
Yes, I'm sure.
The whole, for example, 3 or 4 years, and you.
I'm sure it is possible. Yes, but it also depends on the coaches, for example. I mean, for some, but also you say 3 or 4 years. I think it depends on a lot of things. Depends on the coach. Depends on the students. For example, we also have students from whom I think that this program will take a little longer than January, because they didn't finish, and that's no problem. You finish when you finish. So learning never finishes, I think, but sometimes there's no learning, or you learn other things. Like for example, you could do everything in here, but there are all subjects in sports or health or education, for example. We also have students that probably learned a lot, but not in this area. I'm sure they learned to meet people, to talk to people, to talk English or whatever, which is also important, but not in our subject. So it's up to us as coaches to talk to the students and, okay, what do you want to learn? How does it fit our schedule, our program? And for example, we also try to do it in our Dutch education at the moment, and they make their own learning. So they in front, they do a little bit what you do as well. They write how to get an A. What will you learn this semester? How do you want to learn it? What do you want to learn? Where do you want to do it? Who needs to help you? Who do you need to talk to? What books do you need to read, or whatever movie do you want to do? So I think it's possible, but it's also the structure you choose. So in your case, I think if we do it a year, probably the structure would be we meet more often.
Okay, yes, because for me it's a little bit hard to think that keeping this program, for example, you could be a great professional, I don't know, in coaching. But as you said, if the program is more long-term period, for example, books or more meetings, or if the guide, the coach, helps you also. Yes, because for example, I think this type of education is more practical.
Mm-hmm.
I mean,
and also, I mean, for example, if you want to be a good coach, this could be in 3 years you could be a professional coach, for example. I think at the moment, the last half year, you have a lot of input to be a good coach, but you've never coached. Yeah, you did coach, but online or small in a small amount. The next step could be that, okay, and then there's a coach between us, the coach and the student. Okay, what could be the next step? I need to coach. I need to really coach. Okay, we know people where you can do an internship in coaching. For example, at the 4-mile teams, that's the running team in the Groningen. Okay, you do an internship with them and learn from them how to coach. Okay. If you have done that, okay, then we go to another one where you can learn. You go to Oslo, or what is it, to Norway, to learn from them. Then you will become a better coach. Okay, and then we translate it to Spain. How can this work in Spain with Spanish students? Because maybe they're different than the Dutch ones.
yes. This is a question a little bit big, and I think it's hard to answer. But do you think if this was the program every student has, the education will be better and we will have better professionals, or it's too hard to?
It's really easy. Yes.
Yes?
I'm sure.
Totally.
Yes, because if this was the program, students who need more structure, who need programs or need classes, in communication and in coaching, you find out that they need classes. It depends on the student, what you do, how you do. So it's really easy. If this was the program, then everybody had their own program, and which fits the student.
That's really nice. And I think the last question, that is something I also one day I think I asked to you when we were like in a meeting. For me, it's too hard to think that this program could be done, or that, because I think it's a little bit for each student. So for example, in a class of 30, 40, 50 people, I think it could be really hard if there are not a lot more teachers or coaches. So is there, or do you have like an idea how this could be established in each time more, or in a bigger scale?
I think it's really easy actually, as well. I mean, how many classes do you have in 1 week if you are in Spain?
2 each day.
2 hours or 2 classes?
4 hours each
4
day.
hours. So that's 4 times 5, it's 20 hours a week.
Yeah.
I mean, people have to dare to do it differently. Okay, we don't teach 20 hours, we teach 5 hours a week, and that's it. So we need a lot less teachers. So instead of a teacher has 30 or 40 students, we can divide it in by 5. And it's the same thing, but you have to dare. It's just do it, try how it works.
Wow.
And maybe one teacher teaches 20 hours a week and the other 4 they coach, for example. And from these students they can choose it. They can follow the 20 hours a week. From the 20 they follow 10 and they do it in different. Just dare to do it different.
That's really nice.
Otherwise it will. Education, I mean, education for me is it's the most old-fashioned, also in the Netherlands. It's still so old-fashioned. We still educate as we did 1,000 years ago. Teachers here, 1,000 students are there, but I mean the world is not like 1,000 years ago. So maybe we have to do it different. I don't have the total solution, of course, but it's so easy to do it different, but you have to dare. So in this case, I don't. It's really easy, but only if people dare to do it.
Perfect, Paul. So thank you so much for this time. For the last thing, a message you would like to send to the world,
To the world.
for example, for closing the video.
You called me a teacher. You started with "This is my teacher" in the ERASMUS program. I'm not a teacher. Maybe I am, but the only way people learn is if they learn everyone as a teacher. I also learn from you, and I learn from all the other students, and I learn from my kids, from all the people on the street. If you only learn from your teacher, you won't learn. So learn from everyone.
Wow. Perfect. So thank you so much. Gracias a todos por ver este vídeo. Intentaré poner subtítulos o incluso subtitularla a ver si hay forma. Si no, pues también se trabaja un poco el inglés, que creo que está bien. Si os ha gustado, un like, una suscripción se agradece como siempre. Muchísimas gracias por verlo. Thank you so much for watching the interview. If you like it, a like or a subscription, it's always good. Thank you to Paul for his time. And see you in next video. Y nos vemos en la próxima. Bye. Thank you.